Good evening. In what is being described as a semi-final ahead of the 2024 general elections, the BJP led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah has made a decisive win over the opposition. It has won Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh and Rajasthan, while the Congress forced the KSCRs, BRS out in Telengana. So the poll picture is very evident now. It has come out very clearly. Even as the results are coming in, we have got a clear picture. The poll talk on the AIDEM is analyzing the impact of this scenario, even as the results are coming in. And joining us in this panel are four senior-most media persons from across the nation. We have Venkitesh Ramakrishnan, Managing Editor of the AIDEM, Sri Lalit Sastri, who has done more than 2 decades of reporting from Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh for national dailies The Hindu and the Asian Age. We have Satish Sharma, who was with the UNI for quite long and covered the politics of Rajasthan. And we have Kunal Shankar, Deputy Editor Business with the Hindu, with whom we had a pre-poll analysis of Telengana. So we'll be coming back to Kunal in detail and discuss about that. Let's start this poll talk with Sri Satish ji, because the Rajasthan offers a very interesting scenario. Rajasthan is a case where the incumbent government had a very long range of people-oriented policies in place and yet failed to impress the voters. Did the tussle for power between CM Ashok Gehlot and Sachin Pilot proved crucial for Congress?
No, of course, there was mishandling in the issue from the very beginning, and damage control was resorted to very late. It was very delayed affair. So certainly this had some impact, but in fact, now it seems that undercurrent that is now evident in all four Hindi heartbelt states that has dictated the terms finally, and despite pro-people welfare agenda, I think the so-called you say communal or pro-Hindu or nationalist flank that had its impact.
Did the Gujar factor had an impact on the results?
Gujarat factor.
Gujar, the Sachin Pilot's.
No, I don't think. Of late, this became, just totally on communal lines. Sub-caste and caste were not so relevant.
Okay. Okay, so now coming to Madhya Pradesh.
More or less, it was a situation of polarization on communal lines.
Okay.
Right from the Prime Minister and the Union Home Minister and all BJP campaigners, leaders, they kept the instances of communal disturbances and violence alive throughout. They tried to, I should say, capitalize the issue and succeeded in evolving it as a nationalistic plant. They've given it a character of nationalistic situation. Those who are falling in their line were more or less, you can call real Indians and nationalists, and others you can understand what I wanted to.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
Yeah. So
I just have
Kunal, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
Actually, I had a question, a couple of questions. One is the fact that in Rajasthan, we were just discussing actually Venkitesh before we started recording, is that the vote percentage of the Congress has not gone down from the 2018 election, which was 39% then,
Yes,
and
yes,
it has
yes.
retained it at 39%. And the
Yeah, right.
BJP, which was also around the same, has marginally
Yeah.
increased it only by 3%. So,
Yes.
so the chunk of whatever has come to the BJP is from the so-called other category. So when you are saying it is completely down to communal lines, uh, are you suggesting that the only the part of that 20%, the other percentage were convinced? Because that, I mean, if you really go by that, that could have been a much larger swing, isn't it? I mean, or is the fact that within the Congress did not read the fact that it has also lost a considerable amount of the Adivasi and Dalit vote in Rajasthan. Given that just in the past few years there's been that Bharatiya Adivasi Party and other parties that have come, which have all now sort of crowded the Rajasthan space.
Yeah, they have hurt the Congress interest, no doubt, but that was of late, uh, you can say, ongoing process. It has not direct fallout on current elections. Tribal party had made similar dent, almost equal dent in previous election also. Then
Yeah,
they
Kunal, since
they
you raised
used
this point, about the vote share, Kunal, I think since I have also been interacting with people in Rajasthan and following it up.
yeah,
Basically, as you very rightly said, the Gehlot government was considered to be a kind of symbol of welfare politics.
yes,
I mean, in the sense, the health schemes that they had, and so it was, and his popularity was also very big in the sense, in all the surveys, he scored more than 40 percentage points as the most popular leader. And Vasundhara Raje Scindia, the second, she had only about 28%. So the gap was
Right.
huge. But I think Sharma ji has a very good point in saying that the entire foundation of the BJP campaign was founded on communal lines, and they had built
yeah,
it upon that. And as far as I am concerned, I think the BJP had a much superior organizational machinery, and and it was also kind of backed by huge funds. In the sense, the kind
Right.
of
yeah,
yeah, the kind of funds that they have, I don't think that there is any other political organization in this country which has got the same kind of funds.
well said,
And
well said.
I think this organizational machinery is also a very important factor in Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh. What is your
Yeah,
take, Lalit,
Yeah.
on this?
Lalitji, I think
uh,
did the Congress make an error by relying on Kamal Nath? Whereas on the other side, there was, as Venkitesh has rightly pointed out, there was a huge machinery at work.
Yeah, you have a point here when you say that over reliance on Kamal Nath. We will have to understand Madhya Pradesh politics in the long run, how it has been in the past and how it continues today, and where are the fault lines. Now, if you look at Congress and BJP in Madhya Pradesh, they have been purely polarized. That is, there's no room for a third force in Madhya Pradesh. If all along, there is only marginal. Now, the vote share we have been talking about, that has also remained constant. Now, in the 2018 general election, BJP had more percentage of votes than the Congress, and it lost in terms of seats, the number of seats. That's another matter, how they came to power after that. But if we have to analyze Congress working and their ability to win elections, it has revolved around a united, I would say, not a united alliance with others. There has to be a united alliance within the party. There have been powerful leaders. That's the history of Madhya Pradesh Congress politics. And if they have been disunited, they have lost elections. And I recall 1993 election when Digvijay Singh came to power and was in power for 10 years. Just before that election, there was an initiative by Madhavrao Scindia, and there was a Dabra convention. Dabra is a place in the Gwalior area, which is a um, uh, has been a Sindhya territory. So there, all the the main Congress leaders had assembled, and they had taken the oath that they will remain united. And it was quite a handshake among all of them. And they came to power. They were in power for 10 years. And in Madhya Pradesh, we have to consider how the different pockets, how the different regions and territories have remained pocket boroughs of powerful Congress leaders. For example, in the Vindhya area, we had Arjun Singh, and then his son, Ajay Singh, Rahul, we call him. And in the Khargon, the cotton belt, you had Subhash Yadav, who was a stalwart of the cooperative movement. Now, this legacy passed on to his son Arun Yadav, and who was the Madhya Pradesh Congress president. And in 2018 election, we did not, the Congress did not project a face, and they were all united. This has been the Congress culture. We will remain united. We will win the battle. Then we will decide who will be the chief minister. But this time, they took the call and decided that Kamal Nath will be the next chief minister, as he was. And everybody knows that Kamal Nath has been holding two positions while he was the chief minister and also the state Congress president. And in Madhya Pradesh, they had always followed the policy to divide these two, the organizations and the ruling side. So power in one hand and organization in other. But Kamal Nath retained both. So there was no room for a lot of factions within the Congress to come close to the power circuit. And this was latent. And they could not tackle this problem, and they allowed this to grow. So there was a simmering discontent. And in the process, the other big satraps of the Congress, I think they chose to win their own seats. I'm yet to track the results and find out how many of them have come will be coming to the assembly. But the fact remains that pooling of resources, a united front by the Congress within the state was missing. And ultimately, there were only two leaders who appeared to be guiding the electoral battle. And these were Kamal Nath and Digvijay Singh. And there's been a lot of discontent where people were saying they have cornered all the tickets, and there was very little say in terms of others when it came to ticket distribution. So all this together and gathering people for rallies, for Congress national leadership rallies, it's not a big shake, because you spend resources, your workers are there. But these workers, could they convert them into votes during during polling? That was a big question, and the results have established that they lost the battle because they didn't play their cards properly. This is one point. Now, the other point is, as I said, the voters are polarized. Now, it is also being said that BJP has communalized the politics. But the moment we say that the voters are polarized, we will have to get into their shoes and find out why they were so intensely polarized. So on the one hand, because of BJP's communal politics, I would say in inverted comma, the minorities are polarized on one side in Madhya Pradesh. So the more the minorities are getting polarized on one side, the others are getting polarized on the other. And it is not an undercurrent. It is too loud in Madhya Pradesh, this polarization. And what's happening in Madhya Pradesh is that when I say the other side that talks of nationalism, the other side that we call, a large section calls them the Bhakts, and they are for, the cultural revivalism. They talk of from ancient to the forward moving nation as one, and they treat whether you have to be inclusive or whether you have to be polarized. So BJP has chosen the path of being polarized and strongly polarized. And in this battle of polarization, because of 2-3 things that immediately happened, there were, everybody knows in Tamil Nadu how the Sanatan Dharma was hit. So they used it to the hilt by saying that nobody from the Congress came to condemn that. And there would have been a huge swing of votes if somebody from Congress, the top leadership, had condemned the condemnation of Hindus and Sanatan Dharma. And this was a talking point.
Lalit, there is also this argument within the Congress that Kamalnath was playing soft Hindutva.
Yeah, he was playing soft Hindutva. And on the other hand, he was very strong, very harsh, very hard towards the Samajwadi Party leader, and which he shouldn't have done, because they have definitely made inroads into the Congress vote on the peripheries. And the results will show how many votes the Samajwadi Party candidates have got. And that must have also cost them quite a lot.
What happened?
Even the Aam Aadmi Party candidates were there. So there was no India alliance, no India at work in Madhya Pradesh.
So and what happened in Chhattisgarh? Like when the counting began, BJP was trailing in over 25 seats, and before they bounced back.
You know, Chhattisgarh, BJP had a weakness. They didn't have a leader to reckon with besides Raman Singh. And on the Congress side, what cost them dear is the charge of corruption, especially just before the election. The Congress bandwagon was rocked by the charges of there was even the chief minister's involvement in corrupt deals. So that became a talking point. And on the whole, corruption was a major issue against, and also not fulfilling the pre-poll promises. And eventually, a silent Raman Singh, although the BJP policy was not to announce a chief ministerial candidate, it was not something which was very theoretical. This decision not to announce the chief ministerial candidate, because in Madhya Pradesh they were facing the challenge of anti-incumbency. There was a lot of negative talk about Shivraj. There was a talk of imminent removal of Shivraj. So the party came forward, took a decision. 3 union ministers, Phagan Singh Kulaste and Prahlad Singh Patel, Naren Singh Tomar, they were all fielded in Madhya Pradesh, and so many members of parliament. So together they rallied their forces, whereas in comparison with Congress, where they remained a divided house, each leader was only bothered about getting himself elected rather than the party coming to power, because they knew if the party comes to power, Kamal Nath will be the chief minister. So they were working with narrow ends, and BJP took advantage of this in Madhya Pradesh. And similarly in Chhattisgarh, the chief minister, he was in a corner facing corruption charges, and he was facing a lot of opposition from T.S. Singhdeo. So it was a divided house. And there was also a talk just prior to the election that T.S. Singhdeo may change sides, he may leave Congress. So the Congress was not fully charged into election gear in Chhattisgarh as well.
So thank you. So coming to Telangana now, just as it was with Gehlot in Rajasthan, KCR still has got the heart of the people. But then what happened? Because in our pre-polls, we were expecting only a reduction in votes, but then BRS coming back to power. This comes as
and our conversation, particularly before, as you pointed out, we discussed the KCR's sort of charisma that he holds. I think one of the trends that has shown is that as far as the opposition is concerned, and this is one of the things that is particularly telling of Telangana, is that the BJP does not have regional presence in Telangana the way it actually has, and the sort of the cadre machinery as it has, for instance, in Madhya Pradesh or Chhattisgarh or Rajasthan. And as Venkitesh was pointing out, in fact, that seems to have been their main drawback Otherwise, they would have given even the Congress a good run for its money. Because in Telangana, if you look, the last election, they had one MLA seat. They have, despite not really working as much harder and not having a sort of a regional presence, they have now increased it to about 9 or 10 seats, which is interesting. Some of which has been the votes that has in fact gone from the MIM's kitty. MIM had 9 and it's now down to 4. There is no doubt the fact that, Congress's response to what most certainly was a sort of a populist welfare politics that KCR himself really modeled, especially like we discussed, the first term was where he had a very thin majority. Of the 119, he had only 63 votes, but he really consolidated it with various of those schemes like Raitu Bandhu, Kalyan Lakshmi, Shadi Mubarak, and all of that, which came up to about 88. In the second term, there was most certainly complacency. And I think I was of the opinion that he is much more, he continues to be seen much more as a sort of a son of the soil person who led the formation of the state, and that aura has still not really waned. But clearly, I was proven wrong in this case. And it's in fact interesting because Revant Reddy, if you remember, and I covered this I remember this very well. There was this vote buying bribery or video that emerged. Elvis Elphinstone, his name is, the Anglo-Indian who was the MLA, and he was supposed to be that was at that time Revant in fact was in the TDP, and TDP was already on its way out. So Revant Reddy, by any measure, was not quite seen as the person who can lead the Congress to victory. He was seen as already an outsider within the Congress, coming from the TDP. Secondly, he had these controversies of bribing and corruption allegations against him. But the fact that the Congress has sort of rode, I think one of the things we must also remember is that the follow-up to the welfare politics has not been as decisive in the second term. And I think that the Congress most certainly cashed in on. Not necessarily that it actually had as Venkitesh pointed out, a very strong cadre machinery that worked on the ground. I wouldn't say so. In fact, that has clearly been the case again for the BJP, except that it has had always a very regional presence, and therefore it has only its tally has increased from 1 to 9. And I think this is something which is essential for all the parties now to reckon with, is the fact that the BJP has an extremely well-oiled and a nimble election machinery, which requires reckoning and accordingly, a sort of a reply. Otherwise, I think the opposition is really in for a major drubbing. Yeah. In the general elections, I mean.
Yeah. Rishi, you rightly mentioned and Kunal has also referred to that the organizational structure that the BJP has built over the years and how to counter that. But I think the Bharat Jodo Yatra by Rahul Gandhi had its impact in unifying the forces against the ruling front. How had it been successful in these states? What is the result showing about the impact of Bharat Jodo Yatra?
See, I think, we cannot see the Bharat Jodo Yatra in isolation. What I am seeing is a very clear divide between South India and North India.
Yeah.
With the Telangana result, South India has decisively shut its door against the BJP. It has said that, it has very clearly said, all South Indian states have said that there is no room for BJP in this part of the country. But whereas in North India, because of the latent polarization which has existed in the North Indian states for very many decades, right, even before independence, and the continuation of that and the way it is being propagated, as Lalit was very rightly pointing out, the way it is being continued, and all this coupled with the huge organizational machinery, the kind of vast funds that the BJP has access to, I don't think there is any other party in any democratic country which is as rich as the BJP is now. I mean, perhaps the only richer party in the world would be the Government's Party of China, a party which is richer than the BJP, but that where you don't have elections in China the way that we have. So, so this is a very big advantage. And look at when you look at the results in totality, it's very interesting. The Gehlot's welfare measures was considered the best among all the states that we have in this country. And Shivraj Singh Chauhan also had the Ladli Behna scheme, which is also considered to be a very good welfare measure. Baghel also had a number of welfare measures. So also KCR. But if you look at these four states, Chauhan's welfareism got a stamp of approval from the people, whereas the welfareism of all the others and somebody like Gehlot's is really surprising because, in the ratings, as we were mentioning earlier, he was way ahead of others. But in spite of that, it could not be converted into an election victory. So this is where I want to re-emphasize. Huh?
I think that's a really good point. Yes.
Yeah. Re-emphasize the point that this organizational machinery and this amazing manner in which, see, one aspect I want to bring in, because I cover North India quite intensely. There is a system in the BJP called, there is an organizational position called Panna Pramukh. Panna means page. Pramukh means a chief of the page. You know what? The page is the voters list. Each page has a chief with a 10-member team looking at the voters in that page. I don't think that any other political organization in this country has got that kind of a system. So if a page has got about 100 voters, there are 10 people who are interacting with them on a day-to-day basis. So that is not a small thing.
I almost want to say, I think, it's reflective of what the CPM was in West Bengal. the sort of mission at that time, as you rightly pointed out, it was also, at the cadre level, there could literally be a person who was able to track every household and who voted where, and that is something
No, I don't think any other party in this country has that system now.
No,
not even the CPM.
That's a level of penetration that they need to have to counter this much of preparedness on the part of the BJP.
Absolutely.
Okay, so
absolutely. That was lacking. That was lacking in Rajasthan. That was lacking in Madhya Pradesh, and that was lacking. And in Madhya Pradesh, I think they made the mistake of putting all the eggs in Kamal Nath's basket.
Exactly.
Okay. And what are we expecting from Mizoram now?
Mizoram will be a hung assembly, I suppose. And of course, BJP will again position itself very rightly so that it can also have a share in power there, though it will not be a very important player. Even if they have one MLA, I think they will get into the ministry.
So they'll be a decisive factor there.
Not a decisive factor, because they have power at center and now they have done so well in the elections. I think it will be easy for them to snuggle into the ministry in the northeast also.
Yeah, and ensure that state becomes a double engine sarkar.
In fact, it's interesting. Shivraj Singh Chauhan has constantly been using that term throughout the day, but also been making this point about the Ladli Behna scheme. And as you pointed out, Venkitesh, this is what I meant by the nimbleness. Once they realized that sidelining the regional leaders who have been heavyweights like Vasundhara Raje and Shivraj Singh Chauhan was not paying them dividends, at the last minute to change tack and
Absolutely.
sort of give them that leeway and allow Shivraj Singh Chauhan to come up with this Ladli Behna, because he was suddenly in the oblivion. Everybody in the BJP was no one was really looking at him as returning to power. But now things have changed. Of course, Rajasthan is a different matter because now it appears in Rajasthan there are different contenders.
6 months before elections, every newspaper was writing when the chief minister would be changed, because there was a talk of changing Shivraj Singh Chauhan in Madhya Pradesh. Then suddenly the party took the decision, let him be there on saddle and let everybody combine forces and win the elections. And we'll decide the chief minister issue after the election.
So even
Which is also again going against the grain of the way the party has worked. I mean, it usually attempts to project someone.
Yes.
Now
yes.
it has retracted from doing that. I mean, that's what the fact that they're very nimble in figuring out what needs to be done.
So while cashing on the image of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Amit Shah, the big two of BJP, they are ready to accommodate the local leaders also when it comes to the assembly election.
No, that is what Kunal was saying, the nimbleness. See, the original plan was for Modi, the original plan of Narendra Modi and Amit Shah was to make it a centralized campaign, which will be directed, which will be focusing on Narendra Modi as a person and the opposition as not good enough, inefficient people. But when they realized that that it was not having the desired effect, halfway into the campaign, they brought back these two regional satraps into prominence. So that is the nimbleness. That is the strength of the organizational machinery as it is.
As when we started this discussion, it was pointed out that this result, these 4 state assembly elections, have been rightly pointed out as the semi-finals. So, and the picture is very clear now. So, what will be the impact of these results on the next general elections? What are we expecting now?
Yeah, because I think it's a very interesting pattern. Of course, I had mentioned this earlier also, that South India has very clearly stated that there is no room space for BJP here, at least in the power sector, in terms of the power apparatus. In North India, if you look at 2024, in all these 3 states that the BJP has now decisively won, which is Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, and Chhattisgarh. In the 2019 Lok Sabha elections, they had scored very heavily. They had scored almost 100% in all these 3 states. So there is no room for improvement there. I don't think that that the BJP can enhance its tally in these 3 states. Even if they score as highly as their last time, I think that will be good enough. So this is one aspect. So 2024, the impact on 2024 is going to be very interesting, in the sense, it is. I don't think that there is any great value addition in terms of number of seats or vote share for the BJP in 2024. That is one aspect. The other aspect is that there is this India alliance which has been formed by the Congress, and Kamal Nath had at one point of time said that that if India alliance comes to power, Rahul Gandhi will be prime minister and all that. I think the Congress has lost its opportunity to assert in such a manner now because of this huge drubbing that they've received. And as very rightly pointed out by Lalit and Sharma ji, see, if the Congress had made some
No.
Yeah.
had made some space for these regional parties, the smaller parties, if they'd accommodated Akhilesh Yadav in the areas bordering Uttar Pradesh, there would have been some difference in the results. It would have not been. So I think the Congress, this has got a chastening effect on Congress, and I think Congress should learn this lesson. So what I would say is that the biggest lesson from these elections is for the biggest loser, Congress, and we have to wait and see whether the Congress will actually learn its lesson.
Okay, Lalit, what is your take on that?
Yeah, Venkatesh is dot on this point, because the Congress has to take its lesson and from this election. But more importantly, in 2014, when Narendra Modi became the prime minister, in Uttar Pradesh, they had a fantastic performance. So the Hindi heartland is these 3 states plus Uttar Pradesh and whatever following they have in Bihar, minus the others who are ruling there. So together, this becomes a big chunk. South, how many? 120 seats or
Nearly 130.
130 seats. So
nearly 1/3,
that,
not exactly, nearly 1/3.
yeah, so that's a big number. And then if you see, North is not only the Hindi heartland, North is also Punjab, Northeast, if you consider. You have Bengal, you have, and so many states where the BJP is not in power. So if you consider all those seats, but what is important is we'll have to do some exercise to find out how many Rajya Sabha seats are falling vacant from now till the next election. And from these states, how many Rajya Sabha members would go, adding to their strength in Rajya Sabha and allowing them, the BJP, to do what more they can do before the next election. And that's something to be watched, because one is they are going to go ahead with the Citizens Act once the rules are cleared finally. So they are progressing towards what they have promised and announced. And the polarized voters are quite enthused by this fact. So, and this will have a bearing on the 2024 elections. What remains to be seen is Rahul Gandhi, I think, more than being tutored, he has to be on his own. And even now, in the next few months, he'll have to demonstrate that there's some rationality.
So Venkitesh has earlier pointed out that there's a clear division now from North India and South India, where the South India has clearly said that there's no role for BJP here. But Kunal, my question is, with South Indian states, especially like Karnataka, they have a tendency of giving one mandate for the state assembly and another for the Lok Sabha. So how are we placed here? So BJP still has got some chances in South India when it comes to the general elections, don't they?
Yes, absolutely. And I don't entirely agree with what Venkitesh is saying, because we must remember that after all, Karnataka now has been ruled multiple times by the BJP, so which is definitely South India. And as I had mentioned earlier, even in Telangana, where it has really always had a very marginal presence, and where communal polarization has been there, but it has usually been only in the Muslim-dominated areas of Hyderabad, in the constituencies of Chandrayan Gutta or Gosha Mahal and all of that within the old city area, where you've always had Raja Singh, who's come back to power at the Gosha Mahal constituency as an MLA. This time around, they have increased their tally from 1 seat to 9 seats in Telangana. So we must, I mean, that is an 8-time increase that we should not write off one.
But they had a bigger presence in the Lok Sabha.
They have had a bigger presence in the Lok Sabha from Telangana, and we must also remember that. The other thing that I think is important over here now is the complete discrediting of the Bharatiya Rashtra Samiti to really have any sort of a national ambition. I mean, if you remember, KCR changed his party's name from Telangana Rashtra Samiti to Bharatiya Rashtra Samiti based on this sort of a image of himself and of his party as a sort of a glue for a third front, and now that is definitely unconditionally been rejected. So the fact remains that it is down to Congress and the BJP as glues, if you will, of other parties coming together. And clearly, one thing that the Congress has to learn, considering the fact that it has, it has remained, for instance, considering that Rajasthan has usually been a swing state. I'll just take one state as an example. Rajasthan been a swing state from 1998, where it has been the Congress and the BJP one after the other. They ought to have thought of the fact that the BJP could have been voted back in, regardless of whatever the welfare measures. And as Venkitesh really said, the welfare measures of the BJP seem to have been acknowledged, whereas the welfare measures of the Congress have not. And there is an interesting point here that while the BJP has been convincingly made inroads into Adivasi and Dalit vote banks, the Congress has consistently eroded its vote banks, which has usually been its strong point. And the Bharatiya Adivasi Party, which was formed, as a breakaway from the Bharatiya Tribal Party, has now emerged as a party with two MLAs, one each in Madhya Pradesh and one each in one in Rajasthan from the latest election, results. So clearly, if the Congress had realized that since the margin percentage is so small in a state like Rajasthan and they had and Madhya Pradesh, if only they had allied with the so-called others, they would have managed to get that minor percentage, because in many of these seats it is less than 1,000 votes. In fact, there are seats where it is even less than 500 votes. So if they had actually just allied with some of these regional parties, which clearly represent a new and emerging discontentment with what are called liberal policies of the Congress, it would have been better off for them, but they've not done that. And the other point I would like to really point out here is that the Congress is no longer a party of cadres. It has always had a problem of factionalism, and it has always had leader. It has always been a popular mass leader driven party, but that has also eroded significantly. And while it has these regional leaders, the cadre that drives the party behind is no longer there. So they really need to overhaul the machinery. They need to relook at how they deal with their alliances, and they need to relook at the sort of messaging that they do at the local level and at the national level, if they really want to stand a chance against this sort of a, what shall I say, something that seems invincible, particularly because of the electoral bonds and the kind of money that the BJP has. It's a real reckoning that the opposition has to make.
So Sharmaji, we can. What is your take on the reality that the BJP has made a comeback in Rajasthan, and what impact will it have on the 2024 general elections?
Now it has become more difficult, rather very tough for Congress to still come back within 6 months. General elections are due within the next 6 months, and this will be a Himalayan uphill task. The party high command has committed so many, mistakes. There has been instances of mishandling, delays in every decision.
As you very rightly said, we'll have to wait and watch as to what happens and how the Congress leadership is able to revive its
Yes.
thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And that is, I think, that is the most crucial thing as far as 2024 is concerned.
And
but as all of us can see,
one final question. Unless the Congress party gets its act right at this point, even though it is, as Ramaji has rightly pointed out, it is too late into the thing. Unless the Congress pulls it off and then gets its act right, what will be the impact on the India front? The opposition, the united.
No, see, I am very clear on this. I think this has had a chastening effect on the Congress. Congress should take that message. Congress should not be saying that that we are the leaders, though they are the glue. They should not be saying that we are the prime minister candidate, and all those talk should stop now, and they should actually look for somebody. See, already Trinamool Congress has stated that it is not BJP's victory but Congress's loss.
Okay.
Yeah.
The 3 states, and somebody like Janata Dal United leader K.C. Tyagi, he said now it has been proven that on a direct fight, the Congress cannot take on the BJP. So these questions, these points are going to be emphasized and re-emphasized. So I suppose Congress needs to kind of eat the humble pie.
Yes.
Let's hope that the Congress gets the right message.
Yeah.
They read these results from the crucial states and the state election in the right sense, and then get their act rightly together and bring all the opposition parties, rally them around for a very competitive, because we are anticipating a very tight, highly polarized general elections in 2024. And now it all depends on how the Congress reacts to the results that are coming in today. On that note, I thank all of you who have joined us in this discussion. We will continue this conversation because we are heading for a very turbulent times in Indian politics. Thank you all.
Thank you.